Well, hello again. Hello again.
Hello, sir.
I see that we're in a different setting than we usually are.
We're at the beach.
Yeah. Well, not only have you moved in the last year, but apparently we just had to move it out of state altogether. So we're currently here on the Gulf Coast of Florida.
Doing some hardcore scouting.
Yes, and we have a witness upon us. Mr. DJ Skills was with us yesterday.
Right.
Going to Fort Myers and taking a look at our squad. Most of the starters were in the lineup.
A very good lineup for a spring training game.
And we saw some things that we liked and some things that concern us. So this is why we are here, and we're looking forward to the next season there, 2016. 2015 was a season of real progress, and we're seeing if they're going to take the leap. Let's just go back to 2015. This is a very, I think it was a positive year for us. They took quite the leap from a 4 consecutive 90 last seasons to an over 500 team in the playoff race to the last weekend of the season. So 83 wins. You know, you weren't maybe like the optimist, perhaps me. I predicted 82 wins.
I don't think I had that.
Yeah, that was could even ask for. So 2016 is the new year, and we're gonna see if they're gonna make the leap. So what's your initial takes from what we saw yesterday and what you've been hearing about in the spring training off season?
Well, why don't we start with the off season? My thoughts on the off season was a little underwhelming. An interesting move to me in signing Longboat Park. A very odd fit for the current needs. I suspect that Terry Ryan is looking ahead to kind of some of the future needs. Is Maurer ever going to come back to full strength? Is Plouffe going to hit the market? What's his value going to be? I think Park is some insurance, and certainly if he hits the way that at least some of his numbers in Korea suggest that he might, he would be a very good bargain, I think, and add a lot of thump to the middle of the order. But nonetheless, for this year, I still think it's a little bit of a misfit. I was a little concerned by the inability to upgrade the bullpen. I don't know whether Terry Ryan's rhetoric about really looking for someone was simply just posturing, but certainly I think the history of Terry Ryan has shown that he is going to set a ceiling value on certain guys, and he's not going to go above it, even if that means he's not going to get them. Which that's been his philosophy for better or for worse. What were your thoughts on the offseason?
Well, as I see, it was a fairly conservative offseason, but other than the Park signing, which is a bold move for us, considering what they have in the farm system. My contention is they actually kind of have that type of power hitter in the organization that is kind of a contact or power for contact or nothing type hitter, and Mr. Adam Brett Walker in Double-A. But
I would like to see Adam Brett Walker cut down on the human air conditioning that he provides to fans throughout his minor league stint so far.
See, this is we're only like 5 minutes into it, and the shots are already coming from the top. Mr. Park, is in Korea, is striking out quite a bit too. On a league where the pitching was apparently considered high A ball. So in the spring training, I'll say that he's been hitting better than I thought.
His power is legit. I think there's no doubt about that. The question is, what is his, what kind of on-base skills does he have? What kind of ability does he have to control the zone? And I think we'll see a lot more once the actual game starts.
Yeah. I think once pitchers start to scout him out a little bit and see how adept he is at recognizing the breaking ball, along with the fastball, changing eye levels. I think that will be a real barometer of what kind of success he'll have in transition.
So one topic that has been making the rounds is Miguel Sano in right field. What do you think about that move, and what do you think its success will be?
Well, that's the thing, is like that Park signing kind of forced that to happen, right? You're not gonna. People were thinking Trevor Plouffe's going to move out to the outfield, but the thing is, the last couple of years, he's turned into a quite an above average defensive third baseman, which is like hard to think about when we remember the days when he was at shortstop, Gardy pulling his hair out. Yeah, maybe he should have been pulling more hair out, but that's kicking him while they're down. So, but I think it's worth a shot. You knew that if you put, like, who else are you gonna put out there? You're gonna put Oswaldo Arcia out there?
Well, here's my take. We've gotten so used to seeing the likes of Josh Willingham and Delman Young and whatever outfielder or infielder, excuse me, Gardy loved to put out in right or left field. That I don't think Sano is going to. I don't think Sano's going to hurt, really significantly destroy the team defense out there. My concern though is for him. He's just a really big guy, and I'm very concerned about some of the soft muscle issues. Pulling a hamstring, pulling a quad, pulling a groin. And that would be my concern with Sano. And with that bat, we got to make sure that he's going to be able to stay in that lineup. But I think with Buxton in center and Rosario in left, I don't think that the outfield defense will be a disaster either way.
Well, what would be a disaster is if Buxton and Sano are going into the same spot, and Buxton already had one of those issues.
Yeah, that's true.
We could. Twins fans and probably Mr. Ryan will be holding their breath when that was happening. Yeah. So maybe they'll put a line out in the right center there to see whether you don't go over that. But yeah, I think that's the best they probably could do now if they want both Sano, Plouffe, and Parks, all their bats in the lineup, right? Sano, which kind of brings me to the idea that this year the offense will probably be more power oriented. Something that's quite different from our experiences for the last 20 years at least of Twins baseball. I'm thinking maybe well over 175 home runs we're probably going to see from this offense. That's
bold
my
prediction there.
You look at that middle of that lineup outside of number 7 there, we're not going to get many from him anymore. But
oh man, we're stoking the flames already.
Of the $23 million man, but we got guys like Dozier, Sano, Rosario, and Plouffe, they're probably going to have at least 20. You think you could put plus 20 home runs each, Sano plus 30, right? So I'm thinking this is to be a more power oriented, but also with more power, you're going to have more strikeouts too.
To me, the key to the entire offense is Buxton being able to jump in at some point in the year, take over that leadoff spot. He just would stretch out that order so much where now you've got speed and on-base ability. If Buxton can get there at the top, it allows the lineup to stretch out where suddenly a guy like Park or a guy like Rosario might be batting 7 or lower. So that would be what I would look for as a huge, significant sign for the offense if Buxton can take over that leadoff spot right away.
Yeah, and I think something Molly has been really trying to emphasize this whole off season is spring training is better base running. Last year the base running was pretty poor. The base stealing was even worse. They were caught about a third of the time. They're almost a third of the time. Right?
Yep.
They're one of the lowest in the league in stealing percentage. So if they improve that a little bit, and Buxton turns out to be that prototypical leadoff hitter with plus speed, out there, that will greatly help the offense because that will give those hitters better pitches to hit generally down the line.
Absolutely.
So, about the bullpen, I think we gotta go back about the bullpen. Oh. Sorry about that.
Let's touch on that bullpen.
Yeah, touch on that bullpen. Well, the bullpen is
and the rotation for that matter. Who's going to be in the rotation? Who in your mind gets the boot out of the rotation coming out of spring training?
Well, the thing is the question for me is if they're going to. They say Mr. Tyler Duffy's going to be penciled into the rotation, but I'm not quite sure about that. I'm kind of had a slow start to spring training. Maybe he'll come along as we go along the next couple of weeks, but I'm not sure that they're going to keep him in there. Tommy Malone, I think probably has the inside track for number 5 spot there. But the thing about it is what they're going to put with Ricky and Velasco is the $14 million a year signing there from a couple years ago. That why I usually, when Terry Ryan does not make a free agent signing, I sometimes think of that and feel better about that he didn't.
Well, let me just rant for just a moment.
So
the concept of a sunk cost.
yeah,
They've already paid Ricky Nolasco. Ricky Nolasco is going to sulk about not being good enough to pitch in the starting rotation. He's not going to want to go to the bullpen. Cut him. Cut him. I don't care. Get a bag of balls from another team. There's no sense keeping him on the roster simply as an underperforming guy there. But let me hear about Barrios. What do you think about Barrios?
Well, Barrios clearly will be Mr. Barrios. He'll probably be. He's already an above average starter. He's laying it up in Fort Myers in the Grapefruit League. I'm thinking that they're probably going to bring him up probably sometime in May. I think the service time issue is something on the forefront of their minds,
And wisely so. Fair to say. I think.
They're going to go Chris Bryant on him. Yeah, even easier than Chris Bryant because Chris Bryant was an everyday player, so you're missing all those at bats. But with Barrios, if you miss a month, you're probably missing 3 starts.
Yeah.
Of him, and I think they can absorb that with what they have. So I think they're going to bring him up, and I think that would bring up a decision about if they want who they would send down at that point. Would they send Nolasco out for assignment by then, or do you think they would send somebody else with an option like Mr. Duffy back down the minor leagues? Or put Malone in the bullpen.
Unfortunately, I think what Terry Ryan should do and what Terry Ryan will do has sometimes had a little bit of a disconnect. But I suspect that Nolasco will be on this roster unless they trade him. I think it's unfortunate. I hope he bounces back this year, but I don't see that as well.
Well, if he bounces back, we'll just try. We'll be on the board. I would say that we'd be calling to trade him before the July 31st trade deadline. To strike when the iron is hot.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Not something that the Twins front office has shown a lot of success at over the years.
Josh Willingham is always in the forefront of our mind.
Well, hey, what about this? Let's move on to what do you think to do our picks to click and our favorite pick to bust. Who's your pick to click, both offensively and on the pitching side?
Well, I think the pick to click offensively, I think Brian Dozier would be good. He seems to have taken his offseason a little more seriously.
Are you looking at the size of his muscular development when you're making that pick to click?
Biceps. No, I'm just looking at the shape of his body. I did not make any comment about any part of the anatomy, like our political discourse these days.
Thank you. We'll move right along.
I'm thinking that it seems like he's taking better care of himself, so I think he's going to be able to maintain throughout the season. Because usually, like the last couple of years, he's had pretty good first halves, and then the second half he kind of falls off. And this year, I think he seems to have taken a little more observance of trying to figure out ways to cover the pitch on the outside. In spring training, at least, he's hitting some balls to the opposite field. We know he can, if he becomes a dead pull hitter like he's been the last couple of years, he's capable of, probably has the most power, most offensively productive power hitting second baseman in baseball. Probably about 25, 30 home run type potential. But if you can get his on base percentage, if he's on top of the lineup, first and second in the lineup, and he's having an on base percentage of 330, that's not going to really help you as much as him kind of going up to like 360, 370 type on base percentage. So I think he's going to have a shot at that. So what's your pick to click offensively?
My pick to click offensively, I'm going to send the Talk Vikes community into a tizzy when I speak of a bounce back for one of the best conditioned and muscled athletes, Joe Mauer.
Joe
is
Mauer.
Going to have a bounce back year.
Wow.
Let me just preface this by saying, as someone who is increasingly becoming pear-shaped, who has not been in a weight room in months, if not years, and who doesn't even have a stretching guru to help him out, I know of what I speak on this front. Joe Mauer, I think, all kidding aside, whether or not he is Mr. Hulk in the weight room, I think he's going to have a bounce back year. I don't think he's going to be back to his MVP years, but I think we're going to be back into the 800 OPS
800
range. I think he's going to recover some of the zone control that he's shown over the years, and it's not going to be enough to stop the great talk bikes debate. Otherwise, what would they talk about if Mauer were OPS in 1,000? But in any event, I think he's going to have a bounce back year. I think he'll be a good solid force either in that 2 or that 3 spot. So we'll see what Joe Mauer is able to do this year. Even as like me, he is working on his dad bod.
Oh, really? Are you saying that the sunglasses are going to make all the difference then this year?
I think another year back from the concussion. I think who knows? I remain optimistic there. So pitching wise, what do you think?
Pitching wise. For me, I think that this is every other year. I think Phil Hughes will be coming back, have a bounce back year. Because usually it's 1 year bad. I think apparently it's the odd years are bad, the even years are good.
The great disappearing man. It looks like the spring training.
Yeah, I know. Apparently he's lost 15 pounds this off season, and for a man who's complained about back issues in the past, I think that's a step in the positive direction. Being a person who's gone the other direction and from being pear-shaped, I think not to brag, but I think that he's making that dedication to fitness. I think that makes me think he's got a dedication towards preparing himself for the season, and I think that he'll with the type of focus, different nice more focus and discipline, I think they'll be able to not be kind of the strike zone guru that he was in 2014, but he'll be closer to that than he was in 2015. So I think they'll be probably around 190, 200 innings, and they'll get you like 13 to 15 wins.
Bold call, but I like it. That's where you make your mark. I'm not going to make nearly as bold a call here. I thought a little bit about Gibson. I think he's going to have a solid year despite his struggles yesterday. I'm going to go with Barrios. I think I love what I hear about him, not only as having good stuff. I know Keith Law doesn't like to play on his fastball and the like, but I like his stuff. But I really like his work ethic. I really love his enthusiasm. I love his zest to get better and to improve, to be a star. I think he's going to come up and be a lot of fun at some point in this season. So I'm going.
If you follow him on Twitter, he's not shy of showing his body shape. I know that.
You're really talking a lot about body shapes today.
Well,
Eric.
The last week and a half.
Bodies that are around here.
The last week and a half. Made that a big issue apparently in our discourse today.
Well, let's bring this down. Let's bring this down to the predictions, to the numbers.
To the numbers.
What are you seeing?
Well, I'm thinking that this year, I think that the whole season of Sano, that'll be an upgrade. I don't think he'll face that sophomore slump. We didn't even talk about who's going to have a slump this year.
Oh no, the pick to bust.
Yeah.
Okay, well let's make that quickly. We don't want to bore our poor viewers.
Yeah. Why am I pick the bust?
With a long, rambling soliloquy.
You're talking about giving a soliloquy? No. But my pick the bust is Mr. Rosario. Talking about sophomore slumps. I think he seems to be the type like Danny Santana that doesn't have great strike zone record, and he just kind of hit lightning in the bottle last year. He'll be more of a value defensively, so I don't think they'll take him out of the lineup or anything like that. But the offensive numbers they weren't that great. I don't think they'll reach that level. I think they'll be more like a 230, 240 hitter, and maybe 15 home runs type of hitter. So that's my pick to kind of take a step back this year. So
my pick, very sadly to say, I think it's going to be. I worry that it's going to be Sano. And not because he's going to bust with the bat. I don't think he's going to hit exactly like he did last year. I think we might see him go back down to the 250, 260 range, more strikeouts. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm concerned about injury. I would be very concerned to see, sprained ankle, soft muscle issues from running around the outfield in the June and July meet. That we might see him with a couple 15-day DL stints, and that would really hurt. So that's my pick to bust, take a step back this year.
Well, I'm just saying that I'm just going to make a question. And if he wasn't going to be brought up put in an RC or even like a mass Kepler, would you think the drop off would be that dramatic from on the offensive standpoint?
I'm very interested to see Kepler this year. He would be another guy that would be. But yes, when you got a guy who's OPS in 950. Then I think you've got a drop off for whoever you're putting in there. So we'll see. I hope. Well, let me start with my pick to bust, pitching wise.
Okay.
To me, there's plenty of options. I'm very concerned about the back end of the bullpen. You've got Kevin Jepson. You've got Glenn Perkins. I'm very concerned about both of them. I wouldn't be surprised to see Trevor May closing some games by the middle or end of this year. Perkins has not shown that he can stay healthy for a complete year. He's shown that his stuff has not stayed consistent through the end of the year. I would look at both of them as pretty strong candidates to take a step back. I think Jepson just overperformed his ability last year. So let's hope Trevor May can step up at the back end of that bullpen if he's not one of the 5 starters, which unfortunately it looks like he's not.
Okay. Well, I'm thinking that, last year I did say that Glenn Perkins was my pick the bus. And, the first half of the year didn't look that great. This end of the year, it's kind of typical Glenn Perkins, that second half of the year. But I'm thinking that this year will be kind of the same story. I think that's until Mr. Perkins is able to prove that he can actually prepare himself to be able to last through a whole season. And I'm not sure if he has or not. I haven't seen that yet. I'm just going to say that he's just going to underperform in the second half, and we're going to struggle to figure out ways to close games at the end of the year.
Agreement. Look at that.
Agreement. So that's my pick the bus. So now predictions for the season result. Are you thinking that they could take the next step and make a challenge for the P word?
The playoffs. Playoffs. We talking about playoffs?
Playoffs.
I'm going to go out and say we're going to be an 86-win campaign. I see 86 wins, and Sano stays healthy. I think they can push 90 plus. I see 86 wins. I think they'll again challenge in a very, very, you might say mediocre, but a very competitive AL Central division. I think they'll be in the race again down to the final days of the season, but I think they need one more year until they really get over the hump. That would be my thought right now.
So you're saying the future is bright, but
future is bright,
but not yet. Okay.
And part of it is unfortunately, I just don't trust the front office to make the kind of side moves that some of these teams make to really put them over the hump.
Oh well, maybe that's because of the observed lack of use of data analytics in their decision making. I'm not vouching for a job, but I'm just saying. For me, I think that they'll compete for a playoff spot. I think it'll be around 88 wins that you're going to need to get to the playoffs this year. I think with the second wild card, you're going to be in for the end of the year. But in the AL Central, I think every team has a hole, but every team's not so bad that they're going to fall to 62 and 100 last season. So I'm thinking that they're going to probably be around 85 wins this year, just like you. I think that they'll compete. They'll play meaningful games in September, which you can't really ask for more than that right now. And but I'm thinking that there'll be some significant injury somehow towards the end of the year. I think that especially with people in positions that we haven't seen in there, Buxton and Sano out there. I don't know how they're going to be able to hold up to 162 games. Buxton has not proven to be able to hold up for 25 game stretches in the major leagues. He's had injuries, freak injuries out there. So until I'm worried about that, and I'm thinking that there's not going to be that big move in the middle of the year to kind of boost them. Maybe there'll be some subtraction. Like getting rid of Velasco would be considered a win for this front office, I would think. So I'm thinking around 85 wins this year. That's my thought. I'm sticking to it.
Well, there you go, viewing audience. Thank
Yeah.
you again for your patience with another round of our Twins preview show here on the beach on the Gulf Coast in sunny Florida.
Yeah.
I think that's all we have, right, Eric?
Well, I think so. I think we'll keep in touch and talk likes and just let us know how it goes. So take care.
Happy season, everyone.
Happy season. Yeah. All right. So do you think I should